In this episode, I want to give you some fire and a fresh invitation into 2025. You ready? Let's do it. Hello, you are listening to the Love Your Life as a Performer podcast. I'm Kelly Youngman, and I am the life coach for performers. I help actors, singers, and dancers love themselves and their lives way more. So keep listening to learn how you can love your life both on and off the stage. Hello, and welcome back to episode 92 of the Love Your Life as a Performer podcast. Wow. So much has happened. And I took a little bit of an unintentional pause, and maybe along the way became intentional from the podcast to give myself time to rest and rejuvenate and to really integrate everything that I've been learning and applying in my life. I want to say that it is definitely not my intention in 2025 to leave you guys hanging and to show up, even if it's with a simple message to inspire, to ignite, to plug you back into the life that you really, truly want to be living and creating. Because I just wrapped my fourth round of the paradigm, and on our completion call this week, I noticed that lives have literally been changing. And listen, I'm a human going through my own experience that's also facilitating deep transformation for others. So of course, there's some moments where I'm going to have to slow down and be aware and mindful of what's happening in my own life, while also getting to be in the messy middle with my clients and help them through that gap. You know, if I'm just thinking about where the podcast left off, it's been so fun to come full circle and realize and really let it sink in, soak in what my clients have been creating in their lives. It is nothing short of miraculous. And like getting to really lay in it, roll around in it, bathe in it, luxuriate in it, slowing down to witness the miracles that are happening all day, every day is such a freaking gift. And so today I want to invite you back into the miracle of who you are and invite you to join me in my next mastermind, which is anything and everything. So I think hopefully I announced on the podcast, or maybe I haven't, because things have been happening quickly in my own 3D world. I've decided that even though the paradigm has been wildly successful in accomplishing exactly what it set out to do, that for this next round, for this next 6 months, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So I am inviting you to join me in the Anything and Everything Mastermind, which is a lot of what we've been creating inside of the paradigm through a slightly different entry point. So this container is for high achieving women who want to break free of limitation, who want to know that there's literally nothing you can't be, do, have, or give if you know that it would thrill and delight you. There's nothing that you can't do just because you want it. And again, like slightly different entry point because it's not limited to only performers. It's a female, all women container to be just so radically responsible for the life experience that you're having. And so if you've been in a period of your life where you know that you're ready to just say like, fuck the system, forget obligation, forget what you're supposed to do, forget being a good girl and following the rules and doing exactly what you're told, and like subscribing to the idea that if you're showing up for others and pleasing others, that other people are happy with you, like if you're sort of still in a space, and there's no wrongness in this, but if you've still been in a space where you're trying to get approval, external validation, where you're measuring yourself, your success by metrics outside of you, only by the milestones of other people's timelines, right? Like, I just want you to know that there's a better way. There's a different way. And that starts with your thinking, but it starts with changing how you're relating to yourself and all of the desires that you currently have. And so I think every woman would benefit from this room, especially if you want to be liberated from being self-conscious and self-judgmental. And if you say something and someone makes a comment and you immediately feel shame or wrongness or fear that you said the wrong thing, that you upset someone, that it didn't come across the right way, and you're sitting in your room and you're crafting a text to make sure that you apologize in a way that gets you back on their good side. Like, I'm saying all of this because I used to do it. Like, years ago, that used to be my experience. And I would try to do everything to avoid my parents and also seek their approval at the same time, like all of the things. And so if any of this resonates with you, if you know that you are a hard worker, that you've been grinding and maybe not seeing the fruits of your labor yet, if you've been doing things because, again, you're seeking security and stability outside of you and also internally, but like you're trying to create that without actually getting what you want, which is wild love, like really deep, passionate intimacy, the safety to explore the world, to go where you want to go, to be who you want to be. Like, that literally is why I do this work. Because you can have anything and everything that you want, whether that's starting a business, whether that's putting yourself out there to meet the love of your life, whether that's getting in shape and having the body of your dreams, whether it's just having the ability to trust that whatever you want to do is allowed. It's time for you to join us. This is like my revolution that's happening. And I do want to say out loud that the paradigm might come back in the future because, again, I see the benefit of the work that we've been doing. I see how artists are expanding their vision and their impact and allowing their creativity to flow in new and different ways, right? Like, scripts are being written, new projects are being funded, retreats are being started, artists are having their first time babies, trusting that they are 100% committed to their dreams as well as showing up as a mother, right? Like, there is no limit to the experience that you can have. And in this first episode of the podcast for 2025, I just want to give you a little fire, because I do think that over the last month, while I've been integrating, I have been in the middle of my own next quantum leap. I've had illness. I felt isolated. I felt alone. I felt hopeless, while also being so aware that I'm living a life that I used to dream about. I am engaged to the man of my dreams, like literal dreams. I did not know love like this was possible, that intimacy like this existed, that you could be in partnership that feels expansive and complete, not because I need anything from it, but that it can add this blanket of yumminess that I just didn't know was available. And so I want you to think about your life right now, and if it's feeling like a 10 out of 10, like personally, professionally, financially, are you feeling like your life wows you? And again, we're not saying that it has to be wow at every moment, right? We need the contrast. We need the moments of rest, the valleys, the depths of lows to really appreciate the highs. And is your life one that makes you excited to wake up to? Is your life currently feeling like there's fire, there's passion, there's excitement and adventure and possibility and pleasure and richness and fullness. And I mean, these are just some of the words that have been coming up on my personal mind map and vision for 2025 and beyond. But the truth is 2025 is only one snapshot of your life, right? I'm going to do a podcast episode about snapshots. Maybe that's the one I'll do next. But it's a concept that I've been introducing to my clients that has been changing their lives. And even just in mentioning it to friends and family members and family friends, they've already been experiencing really different results with this idea of a snapshot. And so, like I said, that's going to require its own episode, but I want you to know that 2025 is just a stepping stone to what's next. It's getting curious about what's the manifestation after the manifestation. What's the endpoint manifestation? Again, like new vocabulary that I've been using with my clients that I am thrilled and excited and eager about bringing to the podcast. But this is why I really want to invite you to step into one of my rooms, whether it's Momentum or the Anything and Everything Mastermind, or you want to work together one-on-one. There's constant creation and development and ideas and concepts that can help you make your life feel on fire. And when you're plugging into that regularly, when you're giving yourself space where you can be held, because again, I give myself luxurious support to be held, to be inspired, to be motivated. I don't sit here pretending to do it all on my own. I have lots of mentors that I turn to for that revival, for that reignition. Ignition, is that a word? Reignition. But when I'm looking to be inspired and lit up, yes, I find that within, but I also allow myself to be supported because I don't expect myself to maintain high vibe, high frequency, being without having someone to guide me in the moments when I'm in the messy middle, when I'm working through things, when I'm processing, while I'm acclimating, while I'm integrating what I've learned. Because I think we all know, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, that growth and change, transformation is like the hardest thing that humans pursue because we're designed to maintain safety, to prioritize comfort. And in some ways, that's very beautiful and amazing because who doesn't want to be safe and comforted and warm and gooey and all the things? But something that I've noticed in myself is that, yes, when we get tired, when we need rest, we can slow down and give ourselves that. But it doesn't mean we settle for a life that we know. And this is not a judgment. And even if it is a judgment, I think it's beneficial. It can be a neutral awareness and judgment. Like we don't have to use it against us for shame and blame and wrongness and guilt. But we can see that if we're settling for a life that is far below our potential, the only reason we would be doing that is out of fear. It's interesting because I've seen some posts and I notice myself even hesitate right now to say the word potential because I think there's like this negative connotation that comes from having fire of achievement or expansion or growth. And understandably, because sometimes we lose the plot and we think that, striving for our potential means that we're out of gratitude or out of appreciation for who we are now, or that I can understand the perspective of not subscribing to a life of achievement for the sake of achievement. But the truth is, like, expansion, growth, reaching our highest potential, that is part of the universe. That is part of evolving. That is part of expansion. The idea of spiral, that we're always growing, that we're always ascending, that it's just available to us if we want it. And I know that if you're listening to this podcast, if you're in my world, you are a person that is willing to see what happens. Like, what would happen if I let go of all the limiting beliefs? What would happen if I let go of the fear that if I invest in myself, I might not get what I want? Right? Like, who would I be if I guaranteed that anytime I make an investment, I trust my decisions? I've been watching myself experience life with this lens, not only when I met my now fiance weeks after ending a long-term relationship, right? Like trusting myself to move in with him and get engaged on a timeline that made sense to me and maybe didn't make sense to others in my world immediately. I've watched it influence my decision making when it comes to planning my wedding, because I'm getting married this year, to picking my floors, to like every aspect of my life is different because of the processes and tools and the relationship that I've created to myself. It's how I continue to have a business going on 5 years and have been sustaining myself with income from a business that I started in the pandemic, right? Like, I am willing to believe before results. Not only willing to, but I have the framework to believe before results, which is what I teach my clients, which is how they have also been able to transform their life experience into something beyond their wildest dreams. And so, again, this podcast is just here to reignite you and to re-invite you, did that rhyme, into my world. Because I promise, if you are here, you already have that tingle in your gut that's like, I don't know what it is yet, right? Like maybe you don't know what that looks like. Maybe you don't know exactly what it is, but I have a hunch because I'm a life coach, because I've worked with clients just like you over and over and over again, that there's a seed of a dream, even if it's just a seed, whether that's being able to buy plane tickets for your family or take them on a vacation. One of my clients is currently manifesting $200,000 to pay off her grandmother's house and like giving herself permission to pursue that goal with tenacity, with commitment, with drive, with knowing that it's not just an idea, that it's something she's committed to. Like, think about if you gave yourself permission to know that you are not bound to the way things have been, and that you could dream even bigger. Like, that's something I am dreaming about too. Taking my whole family on a surprise vacation and just thinking about the ways that I want to maximize my life on this planet. Because while 2025 is a snapshot, it's also a gift. Because as much as we will project and continue to create and imagine a life beyond our wildest dreams for years and decades to come, the reality is we don't actually know how much time we have. And do you really want to gamble waiting and thinking, okay, I'll do that later. I'll do that after the kids are grown. I'll do that after I figure out and save X amount of dollars. I'll do that after I've put in enough time to X, Y, and Z, right? Like, it's so easy to think we'll do it later when we don't realize that the magic is now. Life is happening now. I am just so rested and excited and plugged into the momentum, the magic, the possibility of 2025. And I know that if you're listening to this, there's a part of you that is as well. And so I want to invite you, even if we've worked together, if you've never worked with me, if you're just feeling excited by the possibility of what you can create in the next calendar year, I want to invite you to book a launch call at kellyyoungmanwellness.com/launch. And I want to spend an hour with you getting clear on your vision, launching you into this next year and giving you a clear map to the current roadblocks you're facing and what's going to be required to bridge the gap between where you are now and where you're heading. I literally, right before I'm recording this podcast, went to the doctor for my ankle, and even just walking out of that appointment with clarity, with knowing exactly what's happening, with knowing my next steps, just that alone, the like air quote diagnosis felt so freaking good. And so I don't want you to underestimate the magic of having a clear roadmap and a plan, and then also having a container to walk you through into your next breakthrough, into your next creation. Because again, that's what's happening all day, every day. We are consciously creating the life, the reality that we want to see. The only way that can change is when you're expanding your thinking, when you're opening up space for new possibilities. And that's literally my specialty. So again, whether we've worked together before, whether you're new to my world, I want to invite you to come to a launch call. It is going to help you just have time and space to get clear on what's really important to you this year, what would change your life if you let go of it, and what would really, really set your life on a different path if you gave yourself permission to believe that you are capable of having the life that you really want. Not one that is just okay, or it's good to others, or it feels good for other people, or you feel like you're not behind because X, Y, and Z is happening. No, like we want to be plugging you into a life that feels fucking amazing. And even on your worst days, you want to weather the storm because you know that the lows are just an indicator of the height of your highs, because it's a scale and I can't remember the word, but that there's an even metric on both ends of the stick, right? So when we're willing and we have the tools and we're capable of allowing our lows, it really only ever increases our highs. Again, if this lands with you, if you're fired up about 2025, I am just so right there with you. And like I said, this is a reignition. Oh my God, I don't know if that's a real word. And a re-invitation to step in. Because like I said, I just quantum freaking leaped into a different reality, and I want you to come along with me. All right. Sending you so much love for the new year. This is your time, and I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Love you. Hey, I want to invite you to get started, because if this is blowing your mind, imagine the impact of when we actually work together. You get to love your life as an actor, singer, or dancer, even including auditions. And if that sounds amazing, come join us inside of Momentum. You get lifetime access to the Performers Plan, coaching, community, and more, and I will be supporting you the entire way. Go to kellyyoungmanwellness.com/momentum to join us now.